on to Werewolf by Night because this was something I definitely wanted to dive into
Yeah.
because I enjoyed this little experimentation, this little
Yeah.
passion project that Marvel put together here with this very first special presentation. Obviously, this is Marvel diving into the supernatural and the horror
Mhm.
side of Marvel Comics, bringing in a character like Werewolf by Night, who was obviously teased a little bit in Moon Knight. We get to see him now in live action in an unfamiliar setting because this is uncharted waters and territories for the MCU as a whole because we really
Mhm.
haven't touched anything. And I know it's like even like I said in my social review, it's a little cliche. It's a little cliche to say, "Oh, this is unlike anything we've seen in Marvel before," but this is quite literally that. We haven't seen Marvel touch this side of storytelling or this term of creative visuals that they presented in this movie. Granted, this is the first project that was released fully in black and white. Yeah,
Mhm.
we got a little bit of that in Thor: Love and Thunder, but this is something that's like set in 1930s, 1940s horror cinema and all that stuff. So even the cigar burning on the films and stuff like that, adding
Mhm.
those effects to keep it real authentic. For the most part, I enjoyed every single minute of this, and I went in with very low expectations. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna get with Werewolf by Night, but I'm intrigued to see because I'm a horror fan.
Mhm.
I want to see
Same,
what they
same.
how they
Mhm.
play a little bit in that genre. And for the most part, I think they started landing, they delivered in the writing, the acting. Werewolf by Midnight does not I'm thinking by midnight. Werewolf by Night did not look bad at all, even though he was practical
Yeah,
for the
I
most
remember
part.
the rumors where there was an
We
article that
talked
was like,
about it.
yeah, it was like, oh, the suit looks like a Halloween costume,
Mm-hmm.
and the CG is hot garbage for anything that's
Nah,
CG, and like
it looked good.
everything looked good to me.
Even Man Thing for the most part,
Man
Yeah,
which is
Thing was one of my
partially
favorite things, but I'll add to
he
it in a
looked
yo,
bit.
he
when he
looked
was just
great.
melting people,
It looked great from start to finish. And I mean,
I
we
yeah.
got we got the Bloodstones in the MCU now, so it's like
Mhm.
there's Marvel's really like cracking the door open to a lot of things by touching this side of horror and the supernatural. This corner of the MCU, they really haven't. They've only hinted at it a little bit. They haven't really touched it. But now that we're
Mhm.
there, I think we can do. They can bring forward a lot of interesting stories now. Now, listen, like I said before, we got Man Thing in the MCU, we got Moon Knight in the MCU, Werewolf by Night, we got Blade, Man Thing. There's a lot you can do with the supernatural side of Marvel Comics
Mhm.
now. So, I mean, they even bringing in Marvel Zombies, even though it's animated, but they're
Mhm.
bringing in Marvel Zombie. There's a lot of stuff they can do with this. And for them, like I said, I enjoy Werewolf by Night
I would
from
love
start
for
to
them to do a
finish.
Marvel Zombies in live action.
I would die
Give
for
us
it. I mean,
one.
we got to tease. We got a tease of it,
Give us,
what
yeah,
it can
yeah,
look like.
yeah. He straight
Well,
gutted people.
yeah.
Yeah,
At least
Well,
like the
they
it looked
horror, like
good.
the violence
yeah.
aspect of it.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
we actually got like Tony Stark as an actual zombie
Spider-Man.
Oh
in
yeah,
Far From
yeah,
Home.
yeah.
Mhm. No,
Yeah,
No Way
so
Home.
what I mean. Was it No Way Home?
Wait, wait, wait.
No, Far From Home.
Far From Home. Yeah, London. Yep, yep, Far From
With
Home. Yeah, you're
Mysterio.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Boozer, you want next? Go.
Huh? Yeah, no, I enjoyed it very much.
Okay.
I'll go, yeah, if you want me to go next. Werewolf by Night was I'm a huge horror fan.
Mhm.
You know, I've been watching horror since I was a little kid.
Mhm.
My mom loved horror, so she got me on it
Mm-hmm.
real early. And I just it definitely had like a bajillion callbacks and how it felt, you know, the
Mhm.
old school horror, and I just love that whole vibe. And I think everyone uh like played a really good role in just like the aesthetic of everything. I really enjoyed the actor and that played the werewolf. I forget the actor's name.
I forgot
Um
his name too, but
and
Yeah, but
shout
then
he's
out to
really
shout out
cool
to
with
Marvel.
Andor. Yeah, he's really cool
Yeah,
with
he's
Andor, by
really
the way.
close. He's really close
the
friends with
Mhm.
Daniel
the woman who played the daughter of
Luna.
the old man that
Mm-hmm.
died, I think she was really good as well.
Mhm.
Like I would really love to see more of her as well. I think she was a badass. Um, but yeah, I think it was just a fun ride. I definitely wish I could see a little bit more of it. I wish it was a little longer, but yeah, I really don't have any complaints, you know, in
Yeah, I mean,
what I
listen,
got.
1 hour presentation that
Mhm.
like something like this, and Ed and I talked about this in the previous episode because they did mention something about doing this with Silver Surfer and possibly Nova as before giving them either fully blown, full features or throwing them into other feature films that they do down the line. Yeah, these are like little one shots. Like, and Marvel kind of played with that idea before. They would do those little tie-ins, the little shorts that would be like 15, 20 minutes. But to get like essentially a short film, something like this, I think would go a long way with a lot of characters that don't necessarily need a full-blown 2 hour and a half feature.
Or even like an 8-episode series.
Nova better get a movie.
You know,
Nova needs a whole trilogy.
I need a movie. I need to get Richard. I need to get Sam. I need Nova to have a trilogy. Absolutely.
We were saying, hey, I was down with a presentation.
Honestly, listen,
I'm down with a presentation, but he needs a trilogy. Yeah.
Listen, being that Gunn is done after Guardians 3, who knows if they're going to keep utilizing those characters? Like, I don't know their fates at the end of 3, but if Marvel doesn't really have access to those, I don't. But whether, let's just say they get more sidelined, for the future of Marvel. I mean, I think Richard, I think the Novas would be great for the galaxy side of things, where Guardians really push us out into space. I think Nova could also be that more tie-in to space, kind of like Captain Marvel and whatnot.
He does have some tie-ins to the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
A lot of tie-ins.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tons of ties. So I think that character, the reason why I think he would be good for the movies is because it would keep us, we would get, we want to be on Earth a lot, but we also want to explore, Marvel
other
has
corners.
a huge space, narratives and characters and whatnot. So I think Nova will be a great character to segue into that.
Gotcha. Oh, and then back on besides the tangent, werewolf though. But yeah, so this is why I like. Yes, Nova should have a presentation. We said that last one, but yeah, with the Werewolf by Night, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was phenomenal. Everything from the action on point. They did not censor that freaking bolt into this dude's head whatsoever.
Nothing.
And it was, there was a lot more of a tonal shift completely for what we're used to seeing in the MCU. Like, besides like Moon Knight getting a little bit more gritty and, some of the other shows like, that we're getting and everything, we're starting to see a little bit more that, hey, things aren't always rainbows and sunshines and all that kind of stuff. And with this side, like, yeah, it's like this side is supposed to be horror. I will say I'm not the biggest horror fan, because a lot of the horror that is out now is about the jump scare, and jump scares are boring to me because yes, you're going to get me the first time. Now, okay, you got me a second time, third time, I'm going to punch you in your face because you're trying to just jump at me and scare me. So I'm going to fucking punch you. Sorry. So that's I don't do Halloween like rides or whatever, but that's what it is, but that's what the jump scare is. But I always enjoyed the classic horror, like Boozer was saying. This was a very classic horror, especially with the black and white. Because that one made you feel the fear. Like it wasn't, it built up to that type of momentum. It wasn't it's built up and everything, because that's what it was back then. And then yeah, for Werewolf to be practical, like makeup and all that kind of stuff, I thought he looked great, just because it wasn't overdone. It didn't need any crazy CGI for him besides him jumping from place to place, whatever.
And it felt natural. And
it felt
rather natural.
It went with the flow, and it nothing was like really overdone or anything. Man-Thing was phenomenal to me. I loved everything about him. Ted is now my new favorite green guy. I can't wait to see more.
Bro, their little moment at the end, the little bro moment at the end. I was like, yeah, no, that's it. I'm sold.
Mind you, I loved them even more the moment that I saw him like make coffee with a French press. I was like, Ted, you and I are besties now. I'll bring you some of my coffee grinds. We'll get this going, baby. We'll get this going. We'll meet up at the swamp, right by the Nexus, where this is going to end up being the next multiverse point, because that's what Man-Thing is in the comics. He's the protector of the swamp, which is the location of one of the natural nexuses of the multiverse. So it's like, this is where, the good guys can go if they're pure heart and don't burn by his touch. You can go to the multiverse.
Remember, he only burns those who fear him, essentially.
Yeah,
just like the one guy he burned up got spooked.
Two people he burned up.
He did, actually, right? You're right. Two
people he burned up. Like, it was and again, those little funny tropes. Like, he's just like, hey, where's this dude? And so she's like, oh, he bounced. I'm like, this is I was like subtle, and I like it was a very good tonal shift.
It
Elsa
was great.
Bloodstone was great.
Everything
I love
about it.
it.
For Michael Giacchino's soundtrack, because he composed the soundtrack to it as well. It was great. He really touched on those, those old school horror influences, and the little screeching in the audio to give you that little tension, that little ooh, something's kind of going on here, keep you on edge a little bit. It was extremely well done. So it was a nice homage to those Universal monsters movies that we got back in the day and all that good stuff. I mean, it was fun. And actually, a little fun fact: this was shot in full color. Kevin Feige wanted this to be released in color. He did not want it to be released in black and white. So the director did have to fight to get that in black and white.
I do like the change. I do like the change at the end.
Oh yeah.
How at the end it turned into color. I think that was a beautiful touch. Absolutely.
It was actually very, very, very good the way they did that. And
it was a dawn of the new
day. Okay, now we're in this new reality of things. Now the only real question would be is like, where is this taking place? Because the setting was pretty much self-contained. It was within that little labyrinth.
Yeah, I had trouble trying to figure out what time period we were in, because it really, because like know. We know from the Marvel universe that like there was more advanced technology way earlier than like, because there was an Ant-Man back in like
that was World War II, I think.
Yeah, like like there was some crazy technology. So like tasers existing in like the 40s or 50s doesn't, like those kind of tasers, like that wouldn't surprise me in the Marvel universe. In like the real universe, I'd be like, this don't make sense. So like I'm having trouble, like, is this how far is this present day? It could be present day. I think a lot of them aren't really dressed present day.
Yeah, I want to say they're definitely,
or it could be something like you were mentioning too, was maybe some sort of nexus point, and then bringing in the color, and then Man-Thing and Jake meeting in the woods in full color at a different time period, different setting, would be okay. Maybe they switch some sort of multiversal plane to some degree, because like I said, the story is very contained in that one little labyrinth and shit. So that's just me speculating. I could be completely wrong and missing my target here, but
no, only slightly. No, I disagree. I think it's actually honestly I think it's present day. Like, think about it. These guys were all about show. You know what I mean? They dressed up for a funeral, and this is their go-to. You know what I mean? They're the hunters. You know what I mean? They're all doing. They have their own. It was a nice touch to have a little death, you know what I mean? Kind of going on. Yeah, and mind you, it was hilarious. Little Hunger Games, dude. And I thought it was hilarious because I was just like, of course, they're not going to just try to fight the monster. They of course they want to take her out first and take each other out or whatever. Or technically, I think they just wanted to take out Elsa first, and then they were like, whoever takes out the monster next, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was fun. It was a great time.
One thing I also like is the when they were like looking at the heads on the wall, the idea that there's monsters out there, but and we saw like a like a vampire or something like that will look like a giant bat, because like that just further brings us into like things like Blade and stuff like that. Like there's these other things out there and stuff. So I think that also just helps expand the universe a little bit more.
It does. Very little details like that goes a long way in terms of exposition and world building.
But Werewolf does fight like Dracula or giant vampires and everything. So when he pointed out, he was like, I do remember this one. I fought him a bunch of times.
When he said that, I was like, funny. Oh, Marvel, you can't be teasing me like
that.
Right?
You
can't.
How you gonna tell and not show?
How you gonna tell me he fought a giant bat and just be like, nah, we're not gonna go show you that. No, not anytime soon, at least.
No. But I could. All right, so correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Elsa Bloodstone get merged with the Bloodstone? I could have sworn it was more of
I'm pretty sure in the comics it becomes essentially her heart to some degree.
Yeah, so maybe
like implemented into her chest or something like that.
Yeah, because again, I'm not I'm not an expert on her at all. I know because she's usually jumped into random little midpoints of like bigger storylines, and she just has a little snippet here, and she's always just had the Bloodstone already attached to her. Maybe like you just said, maybe in her story it got implanted in her to keep her alive or whatever. So I don't know, but I do know that in the comics that she has that. love-hate relationship with some monsters and all that kind of stuff. Some of them she hooks up with, some of them she doesn't. You know what I mean? But that's what it is. You know what I mean? That's the comics. And
Yep.
but you know, again, yeah, we're great addition. I can't wait for him and Moon Knight to mix it up as well. And
Yeah, I want to
just
see
go from
them
there.
at least go
You
at it,
know?
even if it's for
Mhm.
funsies. I want to see them
Mhm.
go at it.
Of course.
Because you know, who doesn't like a nice little friendly fisticuffs?